Hey guys, we have another interesting game here. This is one where we had two main invasions and some interesting life or death situations. So we had this one in the upper right where black tried to kill white but was not able to, and I think there was no way to kill white. And then we had black's invasion to the left side here that ended up dying, and then we had white's invasion in the lower right that ended up living. So I think this is a key point in the game to look at because if we look at the bottom side, it's pretty evenly divided up between black and white. Maybe black has a little bit more left-right, but white's goes up a lot higher. So I think that's why white felt like he needed to invade, especially because black still has moves like this H2 slide and this push up that could be worth a lot of territory. So black had to decide how to handle this invasion. So I think this move is good. White extends. And then black played here for the normal sequence. White Hanade, black Hanade. This is so far so good, although if black wanted to, black could have been even more aggressive with a move like this. The purpose of this S5 move is that you're saying, okay, I will let white out of the corner as long as white can't get more than one eye. So if white plays this way, black will let white out. But to do this, you have to be confident that you're going to be able to kill white and that white won't be able to escape or get to some other weakness in black's shape. So white connected here, and black played the correct move, which is this Hane here at S4, white Haned, and then here was the key move. In the game, black played this descent, which looks normal, but the problem with this descent is that now this gives white sente at T3. And once this descent for white is sente, then white can simply live like this with S1 and there's nothing black can do. So what should black have done instead? Well, if black just connects here, then I don't think there's any way that white can live. This descent is no longer sente, so black could just Hane, and we can see that there's no way that white can make a living eye space. If white plays this way, black can just place this, black can place this way. You might be scared of something like this cut here, but I think if black just extends, I don't really see what white can do. This Atari doesn't do anything. So I think if black had just connected, this group would have been dead. But actually, white didn't have to give black this opportunity to kill. So in the game, white connected here. But there's a better move for white in this situation. It's this hanging connection, this tiger's mouth at S2. So the idea is that black will Atari, and then white will not connect, because that would be a dead shape, but play this ko. And so this is a great way for white to make ko in the corner, since white would have just been dead otherwise. And so once black captures, white will play some ko threat. It might be tough for white to win this ko locally because white doesn't have a lot of ko threats on the outside, but even just something like getting to push through here would be worth a lot of points. So white should have played this more flexible ko shape. Okay, so let's go back and see how this happened. So this is all fine. We had a very sort of peaceful opening with very standard approaches and extensions and things like that. So I see here that both players chose to take their own corners, which is fine. It can sometimes be a little bit more interesting to try approaching instead and see how the opponent responds. If the opponent just plays a normal move, you can always come back and then play your extension. And it could just be a more interesting way to play. So white played this Kosumi here to get into the corner, but there's a bit more of a stronger move, which is just this attachment here. So white will Hane, black will pull back, and we'll have this sequence. And we can see that this is better than just playing this exchange. So it's that versus this. So we can see that this way, black gets a little bit more of the corner, and there will still be an endgame move to block down here, depending on what happens. It's also possible in sort of the old style for white to protect like this, but we don't see that so much anymore. So this shoulder hit, I don't think is one of the bigger moves on the board. We have a lot of big empty spaces. So for example, this big move here seems like that would be pretty valuable. We could also try invading. There are these two invasion spots. So if we play here, white might play on top, and then we could either wedge out this way or push through this way. Either way, black should be able to live and should be okay, or at least should get some forcing moves on the outside. And the same goes for playing here. White could play on top, and we could have some sequence like this where white would become very thick, but black would be able to live. Yeah, I don't think this two space extension is one of the biggest moves on the board. It's all right, but I would prefer to take, like I was saying, this Q10 or either of these two invasions. So yeah, white did a good job taking this very big move right here. Black followed up here. This move is pretty big in terms of the corner, but I would more try to attack this white stone. For example, you could try this capping move, and you could see how white reacts. If white plays something like this, then you could try to maybe take away white's eye space. And if white jumps out, then you could just continue attacking like this. This move is a little bit slow because we're not too worried about this O16 stone. So what if we just descend here instead? This move is pretty big because it really threatens white's eye space and it's very strong for the corner. So I think this would be a more valuable move. So here is where we had our first sort of life and death struggle. So this move here at L16 I think is a bit too safe, a bit too much of a safety move. White has very good shape up top and some easy ways of getting out. So I would just jump out like this. That seems better. White doesn't have to quite worry about making eye space at the top just yet. This attachment is probably not the best way to attack. Usually when we're trying to attack a stone, we don't want to attach to it because attaching the stones will make them stronger. So instead we want to try moves like either this shoulder hit or this cap, kind of like I was saying before. We could try something like that. Maybe this Hane here. So we usually want to attack a little bit more indirectly and don't want to make contact. So I wouldn't play away from these two stones. When you see these two stones and two stones right next to each other, it's very important who gets the next move. So white should definitely extend here first because you don't want to allow yourself to get Haned here, which is what happened in the game. So it's very important to extend this way, or maybe even this way, or sometimes you can Hane, but it's often very powerful to Hane at the head of two stones. But in this situation, I think black is just too strong. So probably just this extension would be the right way to do it. So black did then a great job here following up by Haneing on the head of these two stones, and this really messed with white's shape. So black played that way. Black could also consider now Haneing the other way and really messing with white's eye space. Something like this. If white were to play here, then black could just descend, and that's threatening to connect under, and white still doesn't have an eye here yet. Instead of this, I think white should just play this bamboo move here. It's just better shape, and it puts more pressure on this Q13 stone. I like this idea, but this is kind of just encouraging black to get all this territory. So what if instead we either try and destroy some of black's territory here, or we can push a little bit more into black's territory with a move like this cap, for example. Or if we want to be a little bit more aggressive, we could try playing this shoulder hit here. And, if black plays like this, white can just jump out and play very lightly. And if black plays this way, then white will definitely be happy. White can just attach and then maybe play lightly like this just to reduce. So instead of jumping, maybe just this Kema is a bit better shape, I think. or even playing here. If white blocks this way, then it's kind of bad shape. But even if white lets black out, again, it's still going to be this sort of empty triangle shape. So black could play this whole sequence in Sente. So right now, both players have huge areas. So it really depends who's going to be able to invade more successfully. It definitely looks like white's area is bigger, but there's also more invasion points here. So this invasion is pretty deep at this point, considering that white now has this wall right here. So what if instead we try something like this, and to see how white reacts? Or like this. We can just try to push in because black has so much territory of his own. It might be enough just to reduce. But I think this is an interesting try. So I was surprised that black played away here. This Q18 is a big endgame move. But the situation on the left is just very urgent right now, and I think black should definitely follow up. For example, black could Hane to try and make some shape, and then try and play outside to escape. And if white tries to separate black and capture the stones, black will be very happy to sacrifice. And if white were to take them, then black would just jump out. Or black could play something, like I was saying before, how black didn't want to attach here because black was trying to attack, but now black is trying to settle. So moves like, for example, this attachment could be a very good way of making shape for black, as long as black doesn't play in too heavy of a way, right? Like we wouldn't want to connect here or something because we'll end up with this very heavy shape. So instead, we'd like to play on the outside with something like this and just try to escape. And for the same reason, I don't think white should have followed up here locally. The situation on the left side is just too urgent, especially because white is already totally safe up at the top, since white can easily make an eye here on the right side. So what if instead white just plays this move here to take the black stone? I think that might almost be game over, because after this point, it's very hard to see how black could invade the left side. I'm not sure how black could do it. And especially if white was still able to get Ko by invading at R3, white would be in a very good situation here. So it seems like black was really trying to kill white here, but I just don't think it's possible. White can easily make eyes here with moves like this, like at least one eye here, and then probably another eye in the middle, and then probably at least one eye here. So I just don't think there's any way to kill. So at least black got a little bit lucky because white responded to all these moves, so black did get some free endgame moves in. This is a fine move to connect, but there could be some more efficient ones. Like what if white just plays this way? This is still a totally safe connection, right? Because we see that black cannot push through in any way. But this one does like a little bit more damage to the right side and threatens to maybe peep at R14 later. So I would definitely consider these. So black is still trying to kill. And then, yeah, this placement is just too much. This descent here. Since white can easily just make eyes here or, even here, I just don't think there's any way to do it. I would still just take this one stone on the left side. And the same thing as before in terms of shape. We don't really want to play this empty triangle. We would want to play something like here. These kosumis often lead to some good shape because white can make many different sort of ponuki shapes here. And black is still trying to kill, but now we can see that white is definitely alive. So I think this connection here was to threaten to take away this eye at O17, but it's actually already not an eye, right? It's already a false eye, except for the fact that white already has an eye here on the outside. So I think this is just a gote move, and maybe one of black's last chances to try and make some shape on the left. Okay, and so now here we're back to the invasion that I was talking about before. So just to review, both players played well in the beginning, but black could have tried this aggressive Kosumi move, which is a little unusual since it lets white out of the corner. But if white can't make any eyes, then we don't necessarily care about letting white out of the corner. So you need some confidence to play this move, but black is just so strong on the outside with very few weaknesses that I think black could definitely try this, and black might be able to kill white. And this would be a way of avoiding the ko that we saw. And so here was white's key chance to play the tiger's mouth here, to have a ko fight, and then maybe play some ko threats like this, or like this, or moves like that. And then black played well here with this hane and connect, with this hane, but then instead of descending, which let white live, black needed to connect here. So white seized this opportunity and lived this way. And so now black's last chance was to have some big invasion on the left side, but it's just going to be hard to do because white is so strong. I think this is a decent move to start out with, but I would prefer to maybe play some exchanges here first, like that. Or black could play this same ko shape that we were talking about on the right side, where if white plays in the standard way, black can play the tiger's mouth and make a ko here. And if this happens, then black can easily play some local ko threats. And so even if white captures, then black could be able to just live here, or at least escape to the outside. So I think that's one of black's last opportunities. After this move, white made a good decision to just kind of fall back and consolidate. Black tried to push through, but white did a good job of defending his territory. And after this point, white cut black stones off, and this was the end of the game. So in conclusion, I think we had just a few life and death reading issues, like here on the lower right. White played a few too many safety moves up on top, and then by the same token, black played some overplay moves that were trying to kill white even when it wasn't possible to do so. So I think both players kind of misunderstood the weakness of this white group at the top. But in the end, white's giant moyo, black was not able to invade, so white won this game. So I hope this was helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions.